One of the biggest mistakes many parents make with teenage rebellion is this. They assume their teen's behavior tells them what the problem is. Let's say your teen ignores a rule they understood perfectly well. Or you ask one simple question about homework and they suddenly explode. It all looks like defiance. So naturally, you focus on stopping the defiant behavior. Maybe you tighten the rules, increase the consequences, or start monitoring your teen more closely. But here's the problem. Two teenagers can break the exact same rule for completely different reasons. One parental response might help the first teen, but that same response can make the second teen dig in even harder. When you look across the research on teen development, a surprisingly clear pattern begins to emerge. Much of what parents call rebellion can be understood through three powerful forces. I'm going to walk you through all three. But more importantly, I'll show you how to recognize which one might be driving the behavior, because each one calls for a different response. I'm Daniel Wong. I'm a teen coach and I specialize in helping teens thrive. Let's start with a situation almost every parent of a teen will recognize. Imagine you tell your teen, "Put your phone away." They reply, "In a minute." You tell them you mean now. They roll their eyes. Things escalate and suddenly your teen is shouting, "You can't control everything I do." Notice what happened. 5 minutes ago, the issue was a phone. Somewhere along the way, the argument changed. Now it's about control. And that brings us to the first reason teens rebel. Freedom. Psychologists have a name for what's happening here. Reactance. Reactance is the pushback that can happen when we feel someone is trying to take away our freedom. And here's the interesting part. The more strongly a teenager feels controlled, the more motivated they become to resist. Sometimes even when the original issue was relatively small. Stein van Petegem and other researchers found that when teenagers felt their parents were controlling, that was associated with greater feelings of pressure and frustration because they felt they lacked autonomy. That reactance, in turn, led to more oppositional behavior. Your teen might not simply be thinking, "I really want 5 more minutes on my phone." At some point, the conflict can become, "I need to prove that you don't control me." And once that happens, resisting may start to matter more than the original issue itself. Now, none of this makes boundaries unnecessary. A teen shouldn't be free to stay out all night or spend every waking hour on a screen just because they need autonomy. Parents still need to lead, and limits and rules still matter. Good parenting isn't about tightening your grip. It's about knowing when to guide and when to let go. The challenge is that when rebellion starts, it's very easy for both sides to get pulled into a destructive loop. Your teen pushes back, which understandably makes you feel that firmer control is needed. They feel more pressure and resist more strongly. Their resistance then makes tighter control seem even more necessary. Neither side intends to create this loop. Soon, the original issue is buried under a much bigger power struggle. So here's the principle to keep in mind. Keep the boundary, return the choice. You're still the parent, but your teen now has some meaningful ownership inside the boundary. What does that look like in practice? Let's say there's a big assignment due on Friday. One approach would be to say, "You need to get to work at 7 p.m. and I'm checking every hour until you finish it." A different approach would be, "The deadline is Friday. What's your plan for getting it done?" Now your teen has to think, which matters because parenting a teen involves gradually transferring more responsibility to them. If your teen doesn't have a plan, help them build one without taking over the whole process. The goal is to let your teen do as much of the thinking as they're capable of doing. That kind of thinking only develops through practice. Your teen needs opportunities to plan, make choices, experience consequences, adjust, and try again while you're still there to guide them. When a lack of freedom is driving the conflict, look for the boundary that genuinely matters. Then ask yourself where your teen can take more ownership inside it. That's how they learn to handle more freedom responsibly. But this is where the picture gets more complicated. Some teens rebel for almost the opposite reason. They're not mainly trying to pull away. They might be risking conflict at home because they're terrified of losing connection somewhere else. And once you understand what they believe is at stake, some decisions that look completely irrational begin to make a lot more sense. Picture this situation. Your teen joins in when a group starts making fun of another student online. Your teen knows it's cruel. They know you'd be horrified if you read the messages. Maybe they even feel bad while they're doing it. From the outside, it can look like your teen is just being mean. To your teen, though, speaking up may feel far riskier than it looks from the outside. They might be thinking, "Do I defend this person and become the next target? Do I stay silent and risk looking disloyal? Do I join in just enough to prove I'm still part of the group? The behavior is still wrong. But once you understand the social threat underneath it, the choice becomes easier to understand. Your teen may know the behavior is wrong and still go along with it because they're trying to protect their place in the group. That leads us to the second reason teens rebel: belonging. During adolescence, friends can influence behavior more powerfully than many parents realize. Some fascinating research shows just how powerful that influence can be. Neuroscientist Jason Chain and other researchers examined how teens and adults made risky decisions while measuring their brain activity. The teens took more risks when their peers were watching. The brain scans revealed something else. With peers present, the adolescent brain became more responsive to the possible reward of the risky choice. In other words, the same decision could feel more exciting or more worthwhile simply because their friends were there. The adults didn't show the same pattern. So the social environment can actually change how appealing a risky choice feels to a teenager. Here's how that can play out in real life. Your teen is at a party and someone offers them a vape. They know vaping is harmful. You've discussed it with them before. But in that moment, your teen may be weighing something else too. Saying no could mean being laughed at. It could mean not being invited to the next party. The health risk hasn't disappeared. It's simply competing with a social consequence that feels immediate and very real. Which means that sometimes your teen isn't choosing rebellion. They're choosing belonging, and rebellion is the price they're willing to pay for it. This is also why just say no can be completely correct advice and still fail to solve the problem. Of course, teenagers need the courage to say no. But before you tell your teen to do that, you first need to understand what saying no may cost them. Then you can help them handle the pressure they're actually facing. For example, let's say you find out what happened and say, "You need to stop letting your friends influence you. I thought you had better judgment than this." Your teen may hear something quite different from what you intend. So they may think, "You don't understand my world." Or even, "You're attacking the people who make me feel accepted." A better conversation often begins with curiosity. Try asking, "What do you think would have happened if you had said no?" Then listen. Maybe your teen shrugs and says, "Nothing." You might respond, "Okay, so what made it hard to say no?" After a little more conversation, your teen might say, "Everyone would have made fun of me." Now you're getting closer to what made the choice so hard. You can still address the lying and the rule can remain. Consequences may still be appropriate. You can understand what drove the behavior and still hold your teen accountable for it. Now you can help your teen think through what they could do differently next time and whether this friendship is pushing them away from the person they actually want to become. That's how you move from managing behavior to building judgment. You're helping your teen think more clearly about their relationships and the kind of person they want to become. Ultimately, that's what your teen needs, the ability to find belonging without losing themselves. If you're finding this video helpful so far, please click the like button. And please subscribe to my YouTube channel so you don't miss out on future videos about helping teens thrive. So far, we've looked at 2 reasons teens rebel: freedom and belonging. The third reason is especially easy to miss because from the outside, it can look like nothing more than bad attitude. Imagine your teen walking through the door after school. You ask, "Have you been studying for the chemistry test?" Your teen snaps, "Can you just leave me alone for once?" Then they walk away and slam the door. From your perspective, the explosion makes no sense. But now think about what may have been building all day. Maybe your teen only slept 5 hours the night before. Maybe they had an argument with a friend or something embarrassing happened at school. On the journey home, they held everything together. Then you asked about the chemistry test. The question may not have caused the explosion. It may simply have been the final drop in a day that was already overflowing. So this is the third reason teens rebel: relief. Sometimes rebellion isn't a strategy, it's an overflow. Research on stress and emotion regulation helps explain why. In a study of more than 1,000 teens, Kate Hertz and a team of researchers looked at whether stressful experiences made it harder for teens to regulate their emotions and whether that was linked with more aggressive behavior. The researchers found that stressful experiences predicted increases in emotional dysregulation. Those increases were then associated with later increases in aggression. For parents, the important point is this: distress doesn't always look like distress. We often imagine a struggling teenager looking visibly sad or asking for help. But sometimes, distress comes out as a reckless choice or anger that seems completely out of proportion to what just happened. Now, we do need to be careful here. Not every rude comment means there is some deep hidden problem, and stress is not an excuse to mistreat your family. Your teen is still responsible for how they behave. But if you only punish the overflow without looking at what keeps building underneath it, the pattern is likely to continue. So when your teen is overwhelmed, remember this: regulate first, investigate second. That doesn't mean ignoring the behavior or removing the consequence. It means choosing the right time to deal with it. The middle of an explosion is usually a bad time to try to teach a life lesson. A 30-minute lecture about respect is unlikely to land when your teen is furious. And forcing your teen to apologize may give you the words you want to hear without any real reflection behind them. Instead, slow the moment down. Come back to the issue when both of you are calmer. You might say, "I'm not okay with how you spoke to me," and we'll come back to that. But right now, you seem really frustrated. Do you want to tell me what happened? That response makes two things clear. The behavior is not acceptable, and you still want to understand what caused it. Once things are calmer, you can address how your teen spoke to you and what needs to change. Over time, that's how your teen learns to notice what they're feeling, communicate it more clearly, and handle distress without taking it out on everyone else. Those skills don't develop through one perfect conversation. They develop through guidance, accountability, and practice. Now we can put the three reasons together. A teen may rebel while fighting for freedom. They may be trying to protect their sense of belonging, or they may be desperate for relief. The next time rebellion shows up, instead of immediately asking, "How do I stop this?" pause and consider this question: what is my teen fighting for right now? Because the goal isn't just to stop the rebellion. It's to understand what's driving it so you can respond in a way that actually helps. Quick question: does your teen sometimes lack motivation? If so, I have a resource for you. It's this free ebook I've written called 16 Keys to Motivating Your Teenager. Visit daniel-wong.com/ebook to download it today. The download link is also in the description. And here's this other video I've created about the 7-step system for raising a motivated and responsible teen. In the video, I explain exactly how the system works. You'll find it useful, so watch it next.